The purpose of this video is to walk you step by step through the completion of the Consolidated Charge Conference form. Again, if you have done this process since 2018, you can skip this video very likely because the process is going to be very similar to the last few years. But if you would like a quick refresher, this will take you through it. To access the actual form invite to complete your charge conference forms, there's actually three ways that you can do that. The first is you'll receive an email directly to you with a hyperlink in it that will take you directly to your church dashboard. The second way is if you saved your church dashboard login credentials from last year, you can use those and then it will log you in just like that hyperlink will take you straight to the dashboard. And then from this page, you will click on the charge conference form link in the left-hand navigation. This will then display all the forms on the church dashboard that are available to you. The third way to access this is from the People Portal. As a clergy member, you have direct access to a People Portal with all of these forms directly accessible on the left-hand navigation. And so you can go to your People Portal using your credentials and log in, but you would not want to share these with anyone else. But if this is how the pastor, you can access this. And then you click on the form invite that you're interested in seeing, and it will launch the actual form, and then you will see where you can start it or complete it down at the bottom. So that's a quick review of the three ways that you can get to this form to complete the process. The senior pastor is responsible for submitting this information and verifying that everything is correct, but it's very likely that there might be some other staff members who will be assisting, but this first part is completed with the senior pastor's information. As you scroll down, there are detailed instructions that you'll be able to read. Sometimes there'll be hyperlinks in here to different resources. As you go, you can look for those. There are contacts if you have particular questions as you do the different sections. So every section has a particular contact if you have questions that your district office can't answer that you could ask at the conference office if there was something specific was unclear. Each church will have a district-specific set of questions to answer, depending on what district you're in. Those will be completed here, and all of them will be used by attaching a document. And so you can just attach the file for how you respond to those district-specific questions. The compensation forms are here. They're updated, and you can download editable PDFs for both the clergy compensation and then the non-clergy pastor compensation forms. Each of those editable forms where you can typewrite on them or you can write on them, whatever you prefer, those are available. There are some very detailed instructions, and be sure to use those and follow those very carefully in completing those. Once you're done, you can attach those files using the attach button that you see located there. One of the enhancements from last year is that to reduce the amount of questions. So do you have an appointed associate pastor? Well, if the answer is no, you would just keep going. But if you do, then you will be prompted to attach their compensation sheet as well. Likewise, when you get into the finance and trustees section, you see there's only 5 questions that are displayed, but depending on how you answer them, then it might display additional options for you to complete about attaching your internal controls. And so there are a number of things here. You'll just go through those one by one. And then again, as you answer your questions, you'll get different options to complete. The child care section that you've been doing for the last couple of years, same thing here. If you do not have one, then you're going to say no, and then you'll just keep going. But if you do, and you say yes, then it's going to begin to ask you a series of questions that you'll need to complete. There's a section on risk management and facility planning again, as well as the parsonage. And so you'll just walk through these. You know, the parsonage, there was a whole lot of work that was done over the last few years there, and so there is a 10-year assessment that has to be done, and so depending on if you have done that or not, you wouldn't have to do it again, but there are questions that relate to that. So for example, on number 3, if you say yes, that you have a pastor that lives in the parsonage, then it will ask, did you complete that 10-year form as part of your 2018 charge conference? And if you've done that in the last couple of years, then you'll just keep going and you won't have to do anything. But if this is new and you have not yet done that inspection form, then you'll click here, no, and it'll ask you to attach that form. And there's a hyperlink that'll take you directly where you can download those appropriate forms, which have been, the content hasn't changed, but they've been made much nicer this year. They're editable where you can type on them on the computer and save them and then attach them, and it'll be a lot easier than it was previously. As you come down to the lay nomination forms, the first thing that you will do is you need to attach a copy of your council or committee recommendations. Now, there's no prescribed format for this. However you do it at your church, you can simply attach that, whether that's a Word document, a PDF, any way that you do that is fine. You'll also learn a little bit later on the video that when you complete your leadership inside of the church dashboard, it will generate a printable document that lists all of your church leaders there. So if you want to enter everything there and then attach it back here, you can certainly do that. There's a separate little video here that you can watch that will take you through step by step how to enter all of your leaders into the church dashboard, and it'll talk you through that in great detail. As you come down here, you've got the reports of the pastor and different things. All these are hyperlinked where you can pull up those PDFs. Again, they're all editable where you can type on them, save them, and attach them. Now, for spiritual leadership, a number of these forms have been updated for this year, most of them. And so I would recommend that you, as you go through, again, this is going to be a series of yes/no questions. If you say, no, I don't have any candidates for ministry, will you keep going? But if it's yes, then you'll get information where you can download that form, complete it, and attach it. But you'll work through each one of these different areas under spiritual leadership. If you're a preaching station, you'll have information there, and then as well as the pastor's moving expenses, answer those as appropriate. And then the very last thing that you have to do is attach a copy of your charge conference minutes. So at this point, let me point out that like we had this past year, you don't have to do all this in one setting, because obviously these minutes are not going to happen until the end of the process. So you can complete all your different areas, and it will allow you to save it and come back to it at another time. But then once you're done, you can attach the minutes here, and then you'll be able to save and submit everything.